everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Amberlynn. I read books and we talk about them. So I knocked off my first book from my TBR this month, Blubber by Judy Blume. It is a middle grade book, which means, I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. It's a middle grade book, which means it is for ages 8 to 12. This book was hard to read. I don't know if y'all have read Blubber. This book was difficult for me to read. I'm not a fan of the book. I give a book 0 stars. I gave Alice in Wonderland like 0 because it was nonsensical. This at least made sense, so I'll give it 1 star. But I hated this book. It did get in my feels. It did give me an emotional reaction, so maybe that I should give it a little more. But I did not like the story. I did not like what happened. So, long story short, you start this book off. Our name is Jill. You're Jill. But, does it say? Yeah. Written first person point of view. We are Jill. Linda is a girl. We are in the 5th grade, and Linda is in our class, and a girl named Wendy and Caroline are in our class. Okay, so the story starts with the 5th grade class having to do reports on mammals, and Linda does a report on whales. Hence, Blubber. Linda is also about 10 pounds heavier than everybody in her class. She already is kind of picked on a little bit. So she starts talking about Blubber in her report, and the class runs wild with this Blubber. They torment this little girl. They told her that this chocolate was a chocolate covered ant, and they forced her to eat it. They made her show her underpants to boys. They made her kiss this other boy on the cheek. There was not anything physically, like they didn't like hurt her, but they held her down and made her, she had to like say, I can't remember the exact sentence, but it was like, I am Stinky Blubber from room 206 or something. Before she did anything for a week, she wanted to drink a water, she wanted to walk in the classroom, she wanted to do anything, she had to say this sentence. And then the next week she was just saying it without even being prompted to say it. The bullying, for this book is 19 chapters long. Bullied her for like 17 chapters. Jill is part of the bullying. You don't get to be, you're not the hero in this book. You're not, I'm a parent. My kids have been bullied. I was bullied when I was younger. Nothing like this. I wasn't really bullied. I was just more of ignored, which I preferred than to be bullied. But my kids, they've gone through some stuff. And as a parent, if this was my daughter, if Linda was my daughter, I would burn the school down. Like, it hurt to read this book. You hurt for Linda. So Judy did a good job with that. Maybe my rating is wrong. I'll go back after I sit here and review it and maybe change it. But then there's some other stuff that we do, that Jill does, that gets her actually in trouble potentially with the law. But the neighbor is like, no, you just need to work, and I won't get the law involved. And for one chapter, the tables get turned, and you actually become the bullied. You get your own nickname. Baby Brenner, I think is what we get called. And the parents are very missing, by the way. There was one line where early on, where the mom says, I wish you could see how Linda feels. And you do get to experience that for a chapter. But when you become the one that's bullied, Wendy is the main bully. She's like the ringleader. Okay, so whenever you're bullied, Jill's bullied, Linda, who was Blubber, joins in with Wendy. Of course she does. She's been tormented by you, and now she gets a chance to bully you. But part of me was like, man, I wish Linda and Jill would team up and realize this isn't good. But no, Linda joined right into the bullying, because it's not me anymore, and now it's you. And you're not bullied that bad. They took your homework. You worked really hard on your math homework. They took it, tore it up, and said you didn't do it, so you have to redo it. And then you call out Wendy and her friend Caroline. They're like this. Well, she ends up calling them out, and she was like, "Do you realize that Wendy is like best friends with Linda now, Caroline? Do you see what's going on here?" And Linda answers, and Linda's like, "Yeah, we're best friends, we're partners, da 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 da," which made Caroline upset. Wendy got mad that Linda spoke for her, and everything kind of just goes back to normal. Like, you go back to Wendy and Caroline become friends again. You find a different group of friends because you were really good friends with Wendy and Caroline. You find a different group of friends. And then Linda is sitting at her desk alone at the end of this book. She is tormented for 17 chapters and ends up being alone at the end of this book. I've never read a Judy Blume book. I have another one on my TBR for this month. Infuriating and sucky at the same time, and I think the book sucks. I'm not gonna let my daughter read this. There's nothing inappropriate in it as far as language or anything like that, and they don't go too far or anything like that, but I don't want my daughter to read a book about a girl that gets bullied without an arc. A bully that doesn't really get an arc, because Wendy continues to be the bully, Caroline continues to be the bully, Jill goes off and does her own thing, and then Linda was bullied and now she's alone. There was no moral to the story. There was no satisfying Jill or Linda gets her comeuppance. There was no Jill learned a valuable lesson and realized this was wrong. No, none of it. This book was hard to get through. Not because of difficult writing, just because difficult story. And it was so bad. It was so bad. Emotionally, it was so bad. Don't need to be a downer. I am getting rid of this book. I will give it to the library. They can have it. My daughter loves seeing Judy Blume on my shelf over there. I have a little section. You see the white over there. This is Judy Blume. These are Judy Blume books. She's always about getting on, but she doesn't know. She just something about these books she likes. This is not one. I will read the other one on my TBR. It's called Denny or Jenny or Deanie. It's called Deanie, so we'll see. But Blubber was not it. Blubber was terrible. Absolutely terrible. So, yeah, 1 star because it's a book and it made sense. That's what I'm giving it. Do not recommend. Do not waste your time. Do not waste your emotions. If you're a mom, do not read this book because you will hurt for your child. If you're a kid that gets bullied, do not read this book because you will not get comeuppance. You will not feel, it's not a feel-good story. I don't see any reason anyone should read this book. Absolutely terrible book. Thanks for watching. That's my review. And tag on those TBRs. Bye.